So today we're joined by Cam, who won the store champs in Nelson. He's very happy. And he got top 8 at the New Zealand Regionals for Grand Archive. So he's going to show us his Water Zander. Fire Zander deck.
He's getting it wrong. I used to play Water Zander, but that deck loses to itself more often than not.
Fair enough.
Alright, so first of all, we're going to do the obvious stuff. I am playing Spirit of Fire and level 1 Zander. On turn 1, playing Idle Thoughts and then glimpsing away the 2 worst cards of your deck is a really strong play, obviously. The prep counter is essential for lethal because we go into Assassin's Ripper. This we're summoning turn 2, so level 1, turn 1, Assassin's Ripper turn 2, meaning the deck requires basically only 2 floating memory to function. And this is a 3 attack weapon with 2 durability, which is really important. We also play, of course, level 2 Zander, and we play level 3 Kwahazi's Chosen Zander. This one gives you Stealth, Spell Shroud, and an extra prep counter. We basically don't ever go into this manually. We play a 4 of Dungeon Guide package to go into it. It's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. This card, if you're going into it, you're probably losing the game anyways, but it is effectively an extra turn against like Fire Lorraines who are gonna insole or rending you, or Rise who are attempting to like set up to kill you. So it is like a fog in a sense. And level 2, occasionally you might go into because +1 on your attacks is good when we get to the actual kill of the deck. In the other parts of the deck, we play Sharpening Stone. This works on our Assassin's Ripper and draws us a card, so it cycles one of our floating memories from the grave. It also playing Seer Sword. This one's a bit of a weird one. Other people have chosen to play Sword of Seeking because it costs 0. I value the 3 durability quite a lot actually, because killing 2 things and then throwing it is a very big part of how you win a lot of games. It's really good in control. And then we have some other cards as well. Channeling Stone. This card's actually ridiculous. It changes a floating memory into 2 cards in hand for a turn basically, because it reduces the cost by 2, and that lets us in games that we are down on resources still have enough cards to go off. It takes, say if you had the combo kill in hand, you wouldn't need 6 cards to do it, you would only need 4 and 1 floating in the grave. In theory you could banish a card to get +1 card, but then it's just a bad GCR basically. Yeah. Speaking of course, we have GCR, we have Orb of Regret as well, so Grand Crusader's Ring really does not need any explanation. This is the best Divine Relic and probably will be for a while, always draws you a card, that's great. Orb of Regret is interesting. In other decks like Crux, Lorraine and stuff, you can play, instead of Orb of Regret in like Insole, you can play Sword of Avarice and just draw 2 cards, but we don't have anything like that, so we just have to play Orb of Regret and hope that it draws us our kill. Then of course we have Nullifying Lantern. This is for the mirror if you think you're better than them, or that you're going to be slower, like going second in something, and also for beating Fire Lorraines, always helpful. Unfortunately they have a better end game than us because they have Insole a lot of the time, and that means that if we're summoning this card, it's probably game over already, so this is a very much last resort and you can consider it a flex spot. What's not a flex spot though is Poison Dagger. This card's absolutely bonkers. There was a report on my deck early on that said that this was the card I was going into a lot of the time. It used to be true before we understood how the damage prevention and like stacking works. If you hit them for 1 with this and then Rending Flames them, they can choose to double the Rending Flames damage and then add 1, which means that this card is only on top of your regular Rending Flames, putting it to 14 total instead of like 12. We originally thought it was 15, so that was like way stronger. So that's the material deck. However, in the side, I do also play 1 of each Bauble. Baubles are ridiculous. Games 2 and 3, if you get to them, having a second GCR is good in nearly every match. You can side out your Nullifying Lantern if it's bad. You can side out, you know, just anything that's like not going to be good. You know, maybe like a Sharpening Stone or something if you're not going to get to it. 2 GCRs is crazy. And speaking of in the sideboard real quick, we have 4 Spurns. This card's to beat Nullifying Lantern, but it's also really good into Water Zanders who play Poison Daggers that are tapped and Luxera Mats that are tapped. They will play those and they will play Nullifying Lantern a lot of the time, so this just kills all of those. In Fractured Crown, it's probably going to be upgraded to the 0/1 for 3 when it enters destroy target 0-drop Regalia, because it does functionally the same thing and occasionally will be a 3/1, and it does open up the ability to play Cremation Ritual if that's something you want to do because it's another creature. And the last card in the side deck is Inspiring Call. This card seems ridiculous to me, and it's another reason that I run the 1/3 sword instead of the 1/2 sword, because +1 to all my guys and costing only 1 and drawing a card is just like a lot of damage. This card equals like 1 mana, 3 damage, draw a card a lot of the time, especially in slower matchups, so that's really good for helping out in the ones that maybe were a little bit more grindful. Now we get to the actual deck. So, first of all, we have Creative Shock, Hasty Messenger, a Cemetery Sentry. All of these cards draw and discard, which allows us to cycle Floating Memory effectively. That allows us to do our combo on time, and because we use Rending Flames, which also requires 3 cards to be in our graveyard, they turn that on as well. The one that we get to play for being an assassin is Kwahazi Courier. This card is also ridiculous, a really, really great card for being assassin. It works with Poison Dagger really well, and aside from that, it is a draw and then discard, and not a discard then draw, which means that it's always live. If you play a Hasty Messenger as your last card, for example, a lot of the games you'll find that you don't have enough resources to then discard a card on the attack, and that means that you're like, well, you're just not getting as much value out of it. This, however, draws and discards, and you're playing a lot of red, most of the time it'll hit anyways. So when it hits, you draw a card, discard a card, and if it's fire, you deal 1 damage to something. That can be 2 things. Poison Dagger up, it actually hits them for 1+1, and then 1+1. So that's 4 damage in total from the Kohazi Courier. So that's really strong. It has stealth, and I think that's probably just a sign of the game being quite new, but people are forgetting it has stealth, which is a lot. Like a lot of the time, people are forgetting that. So next we have just these are the floating memories. Tempered Steel, you're probably never going to play this card. I don't think I've ever activated on Assassin's Ripper, but it is something you can technically do. Idle Thoughts is the key one. This card is ridiculous. Turn 1 because staple card. This is going to be banished to go to Zander level 1, and that's going to glimpse away the 2 worst cards, and that means that we're going to be gaming, you know. But then we're also playing 8 Honorable Vanguards basically. This is an Honorable Vanguard with stealth occasionally. Like I said with Kohazi Courier, people are missing out on that enough times that it's like relevant. But as the game goes on and more people remember what stealth does, they'll probably not forget it. 1/2s are great because we get to the next part, which is, as I have dubbed it, the killing people cards. And for that we're playing 4 Blazing Throw and 4 Rending. This is the combo effectively with 6 cards in hand and 3 fires in the grave, which is not a hard setup. This combo is effectively 16 damage with Assassin's Ripper. So you go level 1, Zander, then next turn for our second floating memory, only 2, so we've had to have 4 cards in grave, which with Creative Shocks, with Hasties, with Kohazis, especially if they're attacking them, is really easy to do. This is near 12 damage, and then afterwards you throw this for 4 more, that's 16. Against Rise especially, they have no out to this basically, because they need to get to level 3 to be defensive, and that means that you are killing them so fast that generally they have no out. Against Lorraine's, it's a little bit harder. She has 20 life, she is more likely to have guys. Wind and Fire can both play deflecting, and Wind can play veiling, so this combo does lose to damage prevention because halving the damage before it is doubled is very strong. So if you prevent 3 of this damage and then double it to 6, that's obviously much better than doubling the damage and then preventing 3 of it with 9. So that does come up enough times that this combo is an auto win. Say a combo in the sense that like this is just the fastest the deck can do it, and that requires obviously 4 cards for Rending and 2 for the Blazing Throw, and obviously the Assassin's Ripper, which you will throw with its spear durability. These are the other cards that I have for killing people. Blitzmage, this was originally Ignited Stab. However, Ignited Stab was a trap every single time I played it. I would use the counter off my guy, and then there's no consistent good other ways to put counters onto him in order to attack for like Assassin's Rippering people, so I'd just be throwing away a card. I could see myself putting Ignited Stab back in and playing it better as a 1-for-2 attack on the first turn in theory, but that is when you are counting how many cards you need to actually kill someone. Going neg 1 for 2 damage is not good enough. It'll put you at 5 cards in hand, and you still won't be able to do the like Rending Flames, Blazing Throw combo on like turn 2. The other card, and this card is ridiculous, especially in this deck. I'm obviously playing heaps and heaps of allies, so this is really strong. But against the matches where it's relevant, it enters tapped and is immortal, then buffs all your guys. Against the Rai, for example, where it's less relevant because they're not likely to swing back into him to kill him, and they're more likely to have to untap and shoot him, and they can do that at instant speed anyways. It enters and hits them for 2 +1 for each guy on the board. This card and effectively this card and Increasing Danger, I can do both on turn 1 then, because Increasing Danger costs 2 and 1 card, that puts you down to 4, but then it adds 1 back, so then you've got 5, so then you can play this tapped, and that is like 5 damage maybe next turn. Probably like 4 damage. Let's be fair. It's going to be like 4 damage. And Blitzmage is just a 3/1 for 3, which is a ridiculous stat line for we're just trying to kill them. It usually only gets in for 3. Sometimes it doesn't against Rai, for example. They have a lot of like Ignite the Soul kills it. But if it did that and it went to the grave and as a red card, it probably did its job. And like I said, it came in over a card that was a trapped play, so it's much better. Then we're getting down to, this is more choice stuff. So as I was saying, Increasing Danger, it draws us a card and then it draws us a second card. It's one of the only true +1s in the game. However, it does give your opponent a card, so you can consider it like a 1-for-1 or in this case a 2-for-2 of a sorts. However, as I said, it works with Arthur Young Heir to be able to play a 2-drop and then a 4-drop on turn 1. Also, it goes to the grave and replaces itself, which is important, as I said before, for having 6 cards in hand to be able to do the combo. There are other cards that help with that. Creative Shock, for example, is card neutral, but like Hasties, if they attack for 1, discard a card, die and deal 1, were effectively like 2 mana, discard a card, draw a card, deal 1 is like not a great stat line really. Some more tech stuff. This is Mark the Target. This is to beat spell shields. That's literally it. It puts a prep counter on your guy as well, so occasionally you will have 2, and like really slow games, you will have 2 counters for Assassin's Ripper. Comes up against Water Zander, not usually Rai, you want to be killing them faster than it matters. But it will beat their spell shields, and if they're getting there that fast, generally they're relying on spell shield. Like if they're like level up, dungeon guide, to have spell shield online, that's probably like their 3 cards. They do not have any other. So this killing it, like giving them a counter is fine, and then just the damage from the combo actually going through wins you the game. And then last we have the tech package as well. This is stuff to not die to people. This could be other things. This can't currently, but by Fractured Crown, Deflecting Edge will be less relevant. You can summon like Seer's Sword to make this cost 1 less. I don't do that a lot, probably because I'm playing the Seer's Sword over the Sword of Seeking. If I was playing Sword of Seeking, this would come up a little bit more, but if I was playing Sword of Seeking, I would probably attack with it and then sack it for Blazing Throw and not have it anyways, whereas Seer's Sword, I will attack with it and then I will have it up next turn to Deflecting Edge and then attack with it and then throw it again, so that's another reason I'm doing that. As I said before, preventing 3 of the damage of Rending Flames and then doubling the damage afterwards is like how you not lose to the mirror and how you don't lose to like fire Lorraine. Aside from that, it also saves occasionally your Arthurs because they're real big value, and preventing people from just swinging like 2 guys into them is really strong, really funny. And Dungeon Guide, the other card, this just takes us to level 3 Korhazi Chosen for the least amount of cards generally. This could be something else. You could cut that entire package and just play red, like mono red. However, there's not better red cards right now. I think every other card that I'm not playing, Ignited Stab, Clumsy Apprentice, Cremation Ritual maybe, are all just slow and wheel spinny, as I have called them. Increasing Danger for me is a card that is like 2 cards out of my deck, and Clumsy Apprentice is a card out of my deck and a 1/1. And since I have very little value on a 1/1, because the 1/2s are only good because they're floating memory, and the 1/1 is obviously like not great by itself, it's just kind of bad. And I just, taking 2 is a good way to get yourself killed. It makes better numbers for your opponents playing Lorraine and stuff if they're trying to Rending Flames you on the backswing. That's why this is in over anything else currently. But you could cut these and the deck would be like $100 cheaper as well, and that's, you know, always good if you're looking to get into the game. But aside from that, I won the store championship because I fought 5 Rice. I lost to one of them in like 4th round, and then I played him again in top 8, and then I killed him. And then I beat a water Zander in the top 4. It's a very long time. And so, yeah, like the event wasn't like statistically meaningful, but it was really cool to win because there was a really good prize on, obviously the Orb of Glitter's great, and it was a really good proof to myself that this deck is like quite viable. And at the regionals that we went to, it was a much more diverse day, and I won a lot of the games again just by knowing my like outs to like how to win, how to like kill someone, knowing the combo line really well, and just playing really well. Unfortunately got a deck list error, and error led to me getting a game loss, which sucked.
Can also relate to that.
Yeah, shout out to the both of us getting deck list errors and losing games to it. And then I had one game against Arai to beat him and didn't quite get him on that one. He wrathed my board and like blew up all my creatures like deep into the game, and I couldn't draw Rending Flames, so that was unfortunate. But this deck currently is about to get, I would say, much worse due to Fractured Crown, which is going to change up the meta a lot, I think, in favor of water decks, and that's going to be really cool actually, because I'm kind of tired of just doing Rending Flame areas with people. If you're looking for something like really cheap and really efficient and good for teaching you like how to kill someone in this game, it's a really good list.
Sweet. Well, thank you very much, Cam,
No
and
worries.
thank you to Card Merchant Nelson for hosting the store chat.
Hosting it with all that background noise.
Yeah.